Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our Every Child Ready to Read Caregiver Workshop. My name is Laura, and I will be just one of your wonderful hosts today.
And my name is Silence Born. I'm going to be your other host for today. Here at OCLS, we have so many great activities and virtual events just like this one planned for you and your family in the coming weeks. So to join into the fun, you're going to need to do a few things. First thing you're going to want to do is sign up for a library card. You can go over to ocls.info to do that. You're going to want to join us at Beanstack by creating an account. You could visit ocls.beanstack.org, and you're going to want to register to attend our virtual events also at ocls.info.
So we're really excited to be talking to you today about Every Child Ready to Read. We're going to be giving you some really simple things that you can incorporate into your everyday routine to get your child to start practicing these things that are going to get them on the path to success for when they actually start reading. So let's get started. So before we actually get into the workshop, we do want to let you know that this project was made part impossible by a grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services. They gave us a fantastic grant with money to be able to purchase the supplies that we do for these virtual events so that we can put on these fantastic live streams for you. All right, to tell you a little bit more about ourselves, my name is Laura Morton. I am the Youth Education Specialist in the Youth Services Department at the Orlando Public Library. And how I'm involved with early literacy and Every Child Ready to Read is that I'm sort of the person who's more on the back end of things. So I figure out how we can train our staff about what Every Child Ready to Read is, how we can incorporate it into our early learning events and our resources. But then I also figure out how we can empower caregivers like yourselves to use these really simple practices every single day to get your child on that wonderful path to success. And I will let my fabulous co-host introduce herself a little bit more.
So my name is Silence Born, and I am the Youth Services Librarian here at the Orlando Public Library with Laura. And some of the ways I help support Every Child Ready to Read is by hosting youth services events and programs. I also maintain our expansive children's print collection here at the Orlando Public Library, and I work with Laura to create wonderful training opportunities and materials like the one we're hosting today. But to start off, we're going to have a brief overview of all of the things we're going to accomplish in this workshop today. So first things first, we're going to provide an overview of the 5 early literacy practices that Every Child Ready to Read offers, which is a national initiative. We're going to give you some tips and activities, some ideas that you can start using today to practice with your child to help support those early literacy skills. We're going to provide you with information about library resources that will also support you on that journey of learning. And then finally, we're going to build up your confidence. It can be really overwhelming and intimidating to try to teach your child all of the necessary skills to be successful readers. But we're here to tell you that you're already doing a great job, that you're probably already doing a lot of the things we're going to cover today, and that you've got this, and we're here to help you. So we believe that learning is really this collaborative process. And so what we want is we want you to learn from us, but we also want to help you learn all of these tips and these tricks that will work best for you and your child. So like we said before, we're already, like we are and you are already doing so many great things with your child to help them develop literacy. And we would love to learn from each and every one of you as we host this workshop. So throughout the workshop, we're going to be asking you a couple of questions that we're really hoping that you'll add some answers to in the chat so that we can have kind of a lively discussion as we go through this material, because we want you to learn from us, but we also want to learn from you. So we're going to get started with a little bit of an icebreaker question. So please tell us in the chat, what is your all-time favorite children's book or books if you have trouble picking them like I do. This could be a book that you love reading to your children now, but it could also be a book that you love that you loved reading as a child. So please pop those answers in the chat for us. We would love to hear your feedback.
Do you want to get it started, Ms. Silence, and tell us some of your favorites?
Yeah, I think I could do that. So for me, my 2 biggest jams right now are Dan Santat's After the Fall. So it is a groovy book about what happens to Humpty Dumpty after he falls off the wall and he has to pick himself up again. And the other one that I'm really into is Mother Bruce. And that one's all about this, like, he's a very moody foodie bear. And one of his favorite things to do is to try out new recipes. And one day he is going to make himself some goose eggs, and shenanigans ensue, and he becomes a mama bear. It is amazing. What about you? What are some of your favorites?
So I really like, one of my favorites is Llama Destroys the World by Jonathan Stutzman. That is one of my favorite books to read to a group of children, because you get to be really silly. You get to like disco dance, and you get to pretend to paint these masterpiece pictures. It's just really, really fun and really silly. One of my own personal favorites from when I was a kid was Roald Dahl's Matilda. And I had my own copy of that book. I took it out of the library a lot, but then my mom ended up getting me my own copy of it. And I read that so many times. So I see we're getting some great interaction in the chat here. Goosebumps. Yes, I had a love-hate relationship with Goosebumps, because I loved reading them, but then I would get really scared reading them afterward.
Same. There's Junie B. Jones. That's a good one. I love her sassy little attitude. It's my favorite.
Mine too. What else do we have? Do not read this book. Absolutely. That is such a fun one, because you get to be really, really suspenseful, and you get to be kind of silly when you're reading it. Yes, Llama Llama Red Pajama. That's a really great book for talking to your children about rhyming. Let's see what we have. Amelia Bedelia. Yes, I saw that they remade Amelia Bedelia. So I remember the copies from when I was a kid, but I saw that they recently kind of redesigned her image, and it's really cool to see that that has carried over through the years. Of course, Eric Carle, The Very Hungry Caterpillar. So many wonderful choices here.
Yeah, and what else do I say?
Oh, thank you all so much for sharing with us. We love hearing about all of the stories that you love reading with your children.
Absolutely. So these are great suggestions. And it's a really good kickoff question for us to tackle this workshop. So there's sometimes this misunderstanding that children begin the process of reading when they start preschool or kindergarten, but the research shows us that that's just not true. So learning to read really does begin at birth. And in fact, studies have shown that babies begin learning before they're even born. So reading these books to your kids is like amazing and a part of the process. So, however, if you haven't started formally, going through all of these steps of teaching your child these literacy skills, there's no need to stress. Whether your child is 4 days old or 4 years old, it's never too early or too late to start strengthening those early literacy skills by doing something as simple as reading to them. So your child's reading success in kindergarten does begin with this positive association to literacy and these positive language experiences from the time that they're very young. So just how we have this fondness for books, you're giving that to your children when you're reading to them, because ultimately you're your child's best and first teacher. And you've been their teacher from the very first moment that you met them. And you're a big part of their success. So you know that what your child's interests are, for example, and you know what time of day they like reading the most and when they're the most active and engaged. You also know things like how long they can pay attention for, what things they want to pay attention to, and what kind of activities really get them involved in this learning process.
So to build these literacy skills, what we're really trying to do with children when they're this age is to build a really solid foundation for literacy and learning a little bit at a time, so that children start to get these really, really strong pre-reading skills before they enter their kindergarten classroom. So every little bit counts. So every song that you sing with your child, every book that you read together, every conversation that you have, every picture that you draw, it's just one small piece that's going to add to that really solid foundation for literacy and reading. And it may seem like it's small and it doesn't really mean too much in the moment, but I promise you that it's going to add up and it's going to mean so much in the long run. So you can help your child learn these really important early literacy skills with really simple activities that you can incorporate into your schedule every single day. It's easy to make a part of your daily routine, and it's going to be really fun for you and your child. So speaking of those routines, it is important to create reading habits and routines with your children. So as much as they may seem like they don't want it, children really do crave structure in their day, and that includes reading. So establishing reading routines, this could be things like singing a song to your baby while you're changing their diaper, or while your child is getting dressed for the day. It could be making sure that you read a book before bedtime, talking about your day when you pick them up from daycare or from preschool. It shows that you find literacy really important and that it's going to be something that's a part of your everyday lives together. So one way to establish really solid routines for reading is to be a positive role model for your child. So make sure that they see that you're reading and that you love reading, because when they see that you love reading, it's really contagious. They can't help but love it as well. So do things like making sure that you're enthusiastic about reading. Make sure that you have books available in your house for them to see and to read. Get excited about going to the library together. These are all really great ways to be that positive role model. Because the more positive associations that children have with reading and learning, the more motivated they will be to want to learn how to read. And getting them motivated to want to learn how to read is kind of half the battle. But we also say, don't forget to have fun with it. Strengthening pre-reading skills, it's not something that's meant to cause stress or to be this mountain that you have to climb. We want to be able to keep it simple and keep it fun for both you and your child so that you can enjoy this great process together. And so the way that we do this are through these 5 really simple early literacy practices that you can use with your child to help get them ready to learn how to read. So these practices are reading, writing, singing, talking, and playing. And what is so wonderful about these things is that you can do them virtually anywhere. You can do these things in the car. You can do them at the grocery store, at home, while you're going for a walk together. Any time where you spend time with your child, you can practice these early literacy skills. They're really easy to incorporate into your daily routine. So we're going to talk about each one of these practices a little bit more in depth, and we're going to provide you with some activities that you can start using with your child today.
And so no matter how old your child is, reading together is the single most important thing that you could possibly do. So this is an enjoyable time that you get to spend interacting with your child, where they ask you questions or when you get to explain new words and concepts. So this is a time where you get to help them build this background of knowledge, and that they learn to love reading, and that you help them develop their ability to speak and to listen, to write, and to develop language as a whole. So it's important because you have your child's full attention when you read to them, and children also enjoy the act of reading and are more likely to want to learn how to read when they enter school if you're doing this practice of reading with them daily. And additionally, this is a great opportunity for you to model all of the book basics, such as how to hold a book, how to turn a page, what's the top of the book, the bottom, the sides, the spine. There's so many little pieces to that reading experience that really just enrich your child's learning process. And so we have a few tips for you when it comes to reading with your child. We do recommend that you read for 20 minutes each day, but it does not need to be 20 minutes straight. You can't expect a baby to sit still for 20 minutes and listen to you read a book. They're just not there. So it's totally okay to break that 20 minutes up into smaller segments of reading. You could do a little bit during snack time. You could do a little bit before bed. So you can do 5 minutes at a time, 10 minutes at a time, 15 and 5, really whatever works for you. And we're very mindful of the fact that, you have busy schedules and busy lives, and that not every time of the day is really going to be suitable for sitting down for 20 minutes at a time. But no matter what, try to establish a reading routine that really works for the two of you, for you and your child, and try to do it every day as much as you can, and whatever works for you, that's the way to go. Another tip that we have is to involve your child in reading with you to keep them engaged in the story. So for children who are talking, you're going to want to do things like ask open-ended questions that require more than a simple yes or no. And this is really a great way to interact with the book, So some of these open-ended questions might be, what do you think is going to happen next? Or what is your favorite part of the story? Or what's with that dinosaur's outfit? Anything that really can get them talking and can kind of lead to a, why are you thinking or seeing or feeling the things that are on the page? And our final tip is not to worry about finishing the book. Not every book needs to be finished even as an adult, and this rule definitely applies for when you're working with your children. Children have short attention spans. It's just kind of the way that it is. And it doesn't mean that they hate a book or that they hate reading. It's just that they're learning everything and they're excited about the world and they're excited about having control of their bodies. And, they want to wiggle, they want to move, they want to do things. So really what you want to do is create this positive association with reading, but don't try to force it on them. Kind of let them take the lead a little bit sometimes. You can even try things like singing a song, playing, or a rhyming game instead. These are all reading components, but maybe aren't like the traditional method of straight reading words on a page. And so one thing we'd like you to do is tell us in the chat, what are some of the reading routines that you have created with your child? Is there a special time or place that you like to read together? Do you break it up or do it all at once? Like, this is a really great opportunity to see what other caregivers are doing with their child. Even things like, is there a time of day that seems to work best for your kid? Definitely share all of that in the chat. And so while we're sharing some ideas, I just want to continue on and say that ultimately when we're reading books with our child, we really want to enjoy the story, right? And we want to convey this message that it's a great book choice. And the best way to do that is to pick books you like. So let's see. We're getting any questions about reading routines? A little bit. So some of us like to use nursery rhymes, poems, songs. All of those are definitely good for babies. Sometimes we read at the dinner table. I like that. Awesome. So those are all great options. So reading at the dinner table, reading during bath time. I definitely have a nephew who really enjoys a book in a bath. It's his jam. So whatever works for you. But so while you're finding this sweet spot of where to pick out materials for your child, or where to read materials for your child, we're going to give you some tips on how to pick the best of the best for each age group. So for babies, which is 0 to 18 months, board books are a really great choice. They're really tough and strong. They've got these like chunky cardboard pages that can't be ripped, and babies can freely interact with them and play with them and kind of practice those skills we were talking about, like turning the page. Indestructibles are another item that we have in our collection. They're a special type of book that is basically indestructible. It's chew-proof, rip-proof, non-toxic, 100% washable, and babies can just enjoy them all day. So those are great options for babies. Try to choose books that have a few words on the page or even wordless books for babies. This is where you can really strengthen those conversational skills with them of asking like, oh, what do we see on the page? It's a mouse, it's a boat. And you can kind of show them that looking at pictures also have meanings even when they're babies. Let's see, books with bold colors are great. Black and white books, specifically by Tanya Hoban, are great choices for babies. They have these really strong colors that make it easier for children, like babies, to see. And then finally, we recommend choosing sensory books. So these are books that you can both see and feel. The different textures really add like this heightened element of awesome when they're reading books. And it's a great conversation starter to say things are soft or rough. And so even just hearing all of those things for babies is really great, and it helps them explore their senses. So for toddlers, we're going to want to focus on any one task for 5 to 7 minutes might be a little bit much for them, but they could do it. But after that 5 to 7 minutes, they're really going to want to keep moving and grooving. So even with toddlers, we're looking for shorter books that will help keep their attention and will work best for this age group. And so when we're looking through these books, flip open the pages, look for the books that have 1 to 2 sentences per page. That's kind of the sweet spot for how much like text you want. Books that have repeated phrases or rhymes are an excellent way to keep your toddler interested in the story, and plus repetition is good for them. So great examples of this would be things like Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. It's a good example of a book that has lots of repetition, but it also has lots of opportunities for your child to predict what will happen next. With things like Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, will there be enough room? I don't know, toddler, you tell me. Finally, books that require toddlers to actively participate through singing or movement are a great choice as well. Because what it does is it kind of capitalizes on that short attention span, and it spices it up and keeps it more engaging for them. Books like yoga board books are also a great one because it incorporates movement into the story. So those are all fantastic options for toddlers. And then preschoolers, because the reading doesn't stop. So preschool age children, they do have slightly longer attention spans, I would say between 9 and 14 minutes. So they can pay attention for longer periods of time, and they can also enjoy plot lines that are a little bit more complex, but still on the simple side. So things that you really want to start bringing in at this age, if you haven't already, is nonfiction titles. Oftentimes we don't really think about exposing children to nonfiction titles, but preschool age kids really love looking at real pictures and understanding, what the world looks like out there, and they like seeing it in a book. Popular topics for this age group are also things like animals and transportation, and so there are great fiction and nonfiction materials that cover those popular themes. You could try things like cookbooks and cook a new recipe. This is great for correlating with the knowledge that we have gained from this book has like a real world outcome. And it's also those soft, quiet math skills, because you can try to measure ingredients and count things. And so those are great learning opportunities for preschoolers. Rhyming books are still their jam. It helps them to break down all of these complicated sounds and words and to do a little bit more of that prediction. And, books are also a fun way to learn about new concepts for preschoolers, things that are going to help prepare them for school, like letters, shapes, and colors. Emma Dodd is a great example. She wrote this book, which is called Dog's Colorful Day, and it has a whole series that teaches children about the different concepts such as colors, countings, emotions, size, comparison, things like big and small. It's the best. So all of those are great options for all three of those age groups.
All right, so the next early literacy practice that you can be adding into your routine is singing. Singing is wonderful because it's a really natural way for your child to learn about language because it slows words down. Each sound in the song gets its own little beat. So children are able to hear all of those little individual sounds and syllables that make up words. Plus, children just like to sing all the time. I mean, I like to sing all the time. I know Miss Silence likes to sing all the time. It's just a really fun thing to do. So it's going to help them add new words to their growing vocabulary. And one of the best parts about sharing songs with your child is that it can take place anywhere. You don't need to buy any fancy materials. You don't need to have anything special. You just need to have a couple tunes in your head. So we have some tips for you for singing songs and sharing songs with your child. So first, we like to say to sing nursery rhymes with your child. These are really great. Things like the Itsy Bitsy Spider or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. They're great because they grow with your child. So you can begin when they're a baby, you can begin by singing to them. When your child is very small, it's a really great idea to make eye contact with them. They don't necessarily need to be in your lap. They can be laying down in their crib or wherever they're sleeping, but just try to make sure that you're making that eye contact with them while you're singing so you can create that connection. And then as they get a little bit older, they can start to sing those songs with you. So the rhyme and the rhythm of these nursery rhymes, it's going to help them, again, hear all those little individual sounds like twinkle, twinkle, little star. You can hear that each beat gets its own syllable. You can also use books to sing. There are a lot of books that are specifically designed to be able to be sung to a specific tune, but you can sing just about any book that rhymes because they do have that certain flow and that certain rhythm to them. So like I like to talk about brown bear, brown bear. So it's brown bear, what do you see? I see a red bird looking at me. So you can kind of get that flow, that rhythm, that tune into any book that rhymes. Again, this is going to slow that language down for them, and they're going to hear all the sounds that make up words. And so finally, one of the most common things we hear when we encourage caregivers to sing is, "Oh no, I don't have a good voice." That's okay. Nobody is judging you. You don't need to be a Grammy Award-winning singer to be able to sing with your child. Your child just loves to hear the sound of your voice. They love spending time with you. And you want to make sure you capitalize on that before they get to the point where they're like, "Oh, please stop singing." So make sure you're taking those moments to sing with your child because they really do love that connection with you. If you're feeling a little self-conscious, try singing songs in your house or in your car or in the comfort of your home, those kinds of things. You don't need to make a big show out of it. So we'd like to hear from you. Go ahead and tell us in the chat, what are some of your favorite songs to sing with your children? Do you have any favorites, Miss Silence?
Ooh, I really like Baby Baby Dumpling.
Ooh.
And I mean, I like the classic Mother Goose on the Loose hits. So Goosey Goosey Gander, you know, that's my jam. Round and round the garden goes the teddy bear. All of those are great. What about you?
I love Open Shut Them because you get to do all of the hand motions and you're working on kind of we'll talk about this in just a second, but you're going to be working on their motor skills. I really love, we do one with our field trips for the older kids. We do a Tootie Ta. So that one's really fun because you get to be kind of silly and you get to kind of dance around and use some motions.
Yeah, and we're getting some great responses in the chat too. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, classic jam. Wheels on the Bus, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
Spanish rhymes. Oh, I love rhymes in different languages. It really does help you to like hear, you know, things in this like easy to absorb way. Baby Bumblebee, yep, that's also a classic. Wheels on the Bus is definitely like people's like jam. Mr. Golden Sun, oh, these are great. These are such good responses.
If you like the Wheels on the Bus, there's a really wonderful book called The Wheels on the Tuk Tuk, and it takes the lyrics of The Wheels on the Bus and it sets it in India, and it's a really, really cool story, and it's a great way to put a classic twist or a twist on that classic song.
Oh, that sounds awesome. So.
All right, let's keep going. All right, so let's talk about writing. Reading and writing really do go hand in hand because you can't have reading without writing and you can't have writing without reading. They are completely entwined. And just like any other skill, writing skills on your child are going to develop at different rates for different children, and that is absolutely okay. So before your child enters school, the very best thing that you can be doing to support those pre-writing skills is by helping them develop their fine motor skills and their gross motor skills. So their fine motor skills are going to be those small muscles in their hands. I was just talking about this a moment ago. So this is their ability to open their hands, to shut their hands, to grip things. This is what they're going to be able to use to grip writing utensils. And then their gross motor skills are those larger muscles that they're going to need in order to be able to learn how to write. So everything's got to work together when they're writing. So it's their arm muscle, their shoulder muscle, their neck muscle. So these are really great things that you can be doing to get your child ready to read and get ready to write. So we're going to share some activities you can do with your baby, your toddler, or your preschooler to help them strengthen those fine motor skills and those gross motor skills. Okay, so for our baby age group, our 0 to 18-month-old group, one thing you can do with them is called paint in a bag. This is a really great mess-free way. It's kind of like finger painting, all the fun of finger painting, none of the mess. So this is going to help your baby strengthen all of those finger muscles. And at the same time, you get to create a really cute and unique piece of art. So the way that you'll do this is you'll cut out a piece of shape out of a white piece of paper, stick it inside of a freezer bag. I like to recommend a freezer bag just because it's going to be durable. You're not going to have any spills, any rips, any messes. Put a few drops of non-toxic paint inside of that bag. You can also use food-safe items such as ketchup or mustard or some cornstarch mixed with some water and food coloring. Put just a couple drops in the bag, seal it up tight, and then let your baby just explore all those textures. Take those fine motor skills and just run them over the paint or the material inside of the bag. And then when they're all done, you can take that out of the bag, hang it up to dry, and then you have a really beautiful and unique piece of art that your baby has created. Tissue boxes and oatmeal containers can be really inexpensive tools to develop those hand and finger muscles with your child. So you can stuff items in the tissue boxes. I know children love to stuff items inside of things and pull things out of things. So you can put some scarves in there, you can put some towels, and just let your baby practice with pulling the items out and putting them back in. You can poke holes in an old oatmeal container, put some string or some ribbon through there, and tie a knot on each end, and then your baby can practice with pulling that string. They're working on that little grip there. It's a fun little puzzle. And just the simple act of letting your child play with things like measuring cups or empty containers, it's going to help them with developing their hand and their arm strength, as well as their hand-eye coordination. So you can do these in things like sensory bins. You can do it while they're in the bathtub, if they're outside playing. Just give them some items to practice with filling things up and spilling it out. That's going to help with that strength in their arm and hands. For our toddlers, so we really like to recommend things like painter's tape or masking tape. These types of tape are ideal because they're not going to leave any marks or residue on the surface that you're using. So toddlers at this age, they're just kind of learning how to practice with using something we call their pincer grip, which is using their thumb and their forefinger. And so they're just starting to learn how to pick things up with that grip. So they may need a little bit of assistance with this by you kind of peeling up the corner. But what you'll do is you'll crisscross some pieces of tape. And again, you might need to peel up that corner a little bit, but just let them practice with taking their pincer grip and pulling that tape up, and then you can stick it back down. So you can do that. It's reusable, so you can keep going with that until the tape loses its stickiness. You can create roadways, like if your child really likes toy cars, you can use that tape to create roadways, and you can practice those fine and gross motor skills by driving along on the roadway. You can do a lot of great things with tape. Bubbles are a really fun and versatile learning tool. So when we were doing our in-person programs, we used bubbles often, but it was always with a very specific purpose. So watching bubbles helps your child develop their tracking skills, their ability to watch it around the room. This is a skill that they're going to need when they actually start following words on the pages of a book. It helps them develop their hand-eye coordination by popping those bubbles. It's helping them strengthen their arm and their shoulder muscles. And holding a bubble wand is also going to help them strengthen those hand muscles. All of these things are really great ways to develop those pre-writing skills. Play-Doh is another really, really fun and versatile learning tool. In addition to strengthening the hand and the arm muscles, you can practice lots of different concepts. You can practice with their shapes. You can practice learning colors. You can practice numbers, all sorts of things. And then you can also get creative and make some do-it-yourself musical instruments so that you can sing and dance with your little one. So one thing that we really like to make are musical egg shakers. So we get these plastic eggs from the dollar store, fill them with something dry like dry rice or dry beans, and then I like to tape the center just to make sure that we have no accidents. And then you can shake along with your favorite songs. So this is, again, it's going to help them develop that arm strength, but it's also going to help them develop that sense of rhythm. And then finally, for our preschool age group, our 3 to 5 year old age group, one thing I recommend is called squishy bags. I really, really love squishy bags. These are a lot of fun. So the way you do this is fill a sturdy freezer bag with some hair gel and some glitter. I like to tape it shut with some duct tape just to make sure that we have absolutely no messes. And then it's kind of like their very own little Etch-a-Sketch. So they can practice drawing letters. They can practice their shapes. They can make pictures, they can practice writing their name, and when they're all finished, all they have to do is kind of pat it back into place. It's really wonderful. If you want something a little bit more food safe, you can use Jell-O. And writing trays are kind of a similar concept. So you would fill a shallow tray with some food safe item. This would be things like rice or graham crackers, something you wouldn't mind your child getting into your mouth. And again, they can take their index finger or they can take a paintbrush and they can practice all of those really great concepts that you're trying to teach your child at this age. We also recommend creating a writing bin for your child. So a simple writing bin with child-friendly writing tools will encourage your child to practice writing and using their motor skills. So you can just get like a dollar store bucket, fill it with different writing things. You can put pencils in there, crayons, markers, scissors, glue, paper, stickers. anything that your child enjoys. You can even save some of your junk mail to use as paper, just kind of toss it in there. And your child can use this writing bucket during imaginative play. They can be making out a grocery list, or they can be taking pretend orders if they're running a restaurant. Even if they aren't forming letters or words at this point, it's still great to have these writing utensils around to create a really literate home environment for your child. You can connect motor skills with reading through art. So after you read a story with your child, encourage them to draw a picture about their favorite part of the story, or maybe ask them what their favorite character was and have them draw the character on the page. Have them explain to you what they drew, and then you can write what they say on the back of the page, or you can write it on a little Post-it note and stick it on there. When you model the writing process for your child, you're helping them understand that there is a connection between what we read and the marks on the page.
These are so amazing. I love these 5 early literacy skills. And so the next one we're going to talk about is obviously my personal favorite, which is talking. And so talking with your child is incredibly important for their literacy and development, because children learn language by listening to you and other adults around them speak. And I like to say that children are like these little sponges for information. So even when you think that they're not listening, they are totally absorbing what you say. And they want to make sure, and we want to make sure, that everything that we say has meaning, and that these meaningful conversations with our children enhance their literacy development. And so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to watch a short little video clip with 2 interactions between a father and his son. And so as you watch, just take mental note of the differences that you find in these 2 interactions. And then when we're finished, we would love for you guys to pop them into the chat so we can kind of unpack that. So we're going to go ahead and launch that little video clip now.
All right, Tanner, come on, we gotta go. Dad's gotta get ready for work.
No, just for a little bit.
No, we gotta go. Come on, get yourself together. Let's go.
Please, just for a little while.
Tanner, no. All right, Tanner, get ready to go.
Can I please play for a little bit?
Well, Dad's gotta get to work.
Please?
I tell you what, how about we play for about 2 more minutes, okay? 3 more minutes?
Yeah.
And then after we're done playing, then what can we do?
Go to work.
All right, that's a great idea. So what are you playing with?
Oh,
yeah? Which one? Oh, which one is that?
Buzz.
What's Buzz doing?
He's watching this bad guy.
Why? Are they not friends?
He's a bad guy.
Wow, he's a bad guy. How come?
It's just he wants to hurt Buzz Lightyear.
He does. Well, that's not very nice.
So he wants to hurt him back.
What do you think Buzz should say to him?
So there's definitely some differences between those 2 clips. So I'm going to tell you guys kind of what I see. So in the first clip, the father is obviously busy, been there. He's late for work. He's trying to get his son to put his toys away so that they can leave. And I know that we've all been there when we're caring for children. They have their own schedules and their own agendas. And that type of interaction will most surely lead to frustration and tears, and that they're missing out on an important moment, though, to build this foundation of literacy. So what we see in the second clip is that even though the dad is experiencing that same point of tension where he's running late, he makes a different decision. And so he takes a few minutes to talk to his son about what he's doing. And he asks him simple questions like, what are you doing? And tell me more about it. And it gives the son an opportunity to explain and think critically and develop these storytelling skills by, really talking through his play scenario and even like giving him a moment to expand his vocabulary. So those are some of the differences that I see, but definitely share some of the things that you guys were seeing and feeling from watching these 2 interactions. We can really explore how this small moment of taking this little bit of time, of building this conversation is really just another building block for creating a solid foundation for learning and how to read. What are some of the things that you really enjoyed about it, Laura?
So I think you kind of touched upon it. I really enjoyed that it didn't take that much more out of that dad's day to sit down and just have a conversation with his son. The first one was it was very hurried. It was very chaotic. Like, we gotta go. And it's true. We've all been there. But it was really, I believe I looked at the timing on the 2 clips. It was maybe only about 30 to 40 seconds more that Dad took that time to talk with his son and to work on all of those really great, wonderful early literacy skills that that child is going to need to be able to learn how to read. So it really is in all of those small moments.
Absolutely. And so moving along, so we know that life is really busy, and I think we're all guilty of doing what the dad did in the first interaction. Like, we're all late at some point, we're all stressed. We don't think that 30 extra seconds will make a difference, but like you said, it really does. And so taking this opportunity to talk to your child, no matter how big or how small, because the more words that they hear, the more words they will be able to understand when they start reading in school, it really does make a difference. Like those 30 extra seconds here or there kind of stack up. And so even asking open-ended questions like the father does in the video, that's also a great opener. And it's a very simple way to just strengthen these skills. Doing little things like, tell me about what you're doing. It just opens a whole world of conversation. And it really is just such a powerful learning and teaching moment. So please think about, whether your child can speak or not, make sure that you're still narrating your day. So we want you to explain the steps that you're taking while you cook, or maybe state out loud things like what you're writing down, or while you're shopping, pointing things out in the grocery store. All of these like small interactions are really leading to that skill building, and it gives your child a sense of awareness of what's happening around them that is also really positive and encouraging. Don't forget too that children really love to hear stories, and they love to hear stories from you about your family, about things that you think are special, about traditions or memories from your own childhood. Children really love to see, how you were a kid too and what your life was like. So if you're struggling for ways to incorporate talk a little bit more into your day, books are obviously an excellent conversation starter. Wordless picture books that we touched on before are a great option too, because you really have to start speaking about what you're seeing on the pages and really modeling those critical thinking skills. And it gives you an opportunity to ask those open-ended questions again, like, what do you think is happening on the page? And do you see any interesting scenarios? And kind of see what scenarios they can create in their own mind. So all of that are great ways to incorporate talking.
All right, so we have our final early literacy practice here, and even though it is last, it is not the least important. It is extremely, extremely important, and this is the act of play. So children really do learn about their life through exploring their senses and imagination in a safe environment. So everything we've talked about up to this point, reading, writing, singing, talking, these are all going to come together while your child is playing. And they're going to be able to practice all of those things that they're learning while they're playing. It's not often thought about as a practice that is going to strengthen early literacy, but there are so many important benefits to play. So here are just a few. So it's going to help your child strengthen their social, emotional, and development, as well as their problem-solving skills. It's going to help them learn new words and add new words to their vocabulary. These are both words that they can say out loud and the vocabulary that they can understand. It's going to help them learn about story structure, things like sequencing, the beginning, middle, and end of a story, who the characters are, developing a setting, having a problem and a solution. These are all things that are going to come out in their playtime. And it's also going to help them develop the confidence to try new things. So as your child gets a little bit older, they're going to have more confidence with things like starting school, maybe riding the bus for the first time, learning how to read, making new friends. Play is a really safe environment for them to practice all of these scenarios and to help develop their confidence for when they actually start kindergarten. So there are different types of play, and children are going to play in all different ways, depending on their age, depending on their personality. But we did want to touch on a few different types of play today to kind of explain what they are. So the first is dramatic play. So this is the type of play that's going to involve role playing with your child, using their imagination, creating story scenarios. And this is great for your child's literacy development because, again, they're learning how to tell a story. They're developing something with a beginning, a middle, and an end. These are all skills they're going to need when they learn how to read. Music and art play allows your child to explore their creativity, create something that is entirely unique for them. They'll get to work on their motor skills, they'll work on their coordination, they'll work on their rhythm, they'll work on their concentration. So you can kind of see play is how they're bringing all of these other skills together. Nature play is any opportunity where your child can explore their natural environment or their surroundings. So in an increasingly virtual world, many caregivers are concerned with the amount of screen time that their child has. So we like to encourage outdoor play. These could be things like going on a scavenger hunt, maybe playing I Spy with your child, going on a letter hunt, picking out a letter of the day and seeing how many times you can find it throughout your day. Playing a fun counting game like hopscotch. So all of these types of play allow for your child to have fun, but secretly they're going to be developing all of these wonderful skills for pre-reading. So we have one more clip for you today, and we want you to watch this clip of a toddler playing with his caregivers. And as you watch this really, really short moment, see if you can spot how this child is developing their literacy skills in this very small moment with his caregivers. Let's take a look.
We have to move lunch. Want some too? Take a drink.
You drink? All right.
Oh, thank you. Can I give this to Dad?
Thank you. Oh, that too? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That was very delicious. Taste.
Take a bite. Take a bite.
Would you like?
It's good. Wow. Thank you. Is that tasty?
So it may not seem like there was very much going on in this video besides just a child having fun with his caregiver, but there really are a lot of layers here. So we just want to touch on a few of them with you. So while that boy is playing, he's strengthening those fine and gross motor skills by handling those blocks and stirring the food in the bowl. That's going to help him learn how to write eventually. Even though he's not verbally responding to what his parents' questions and comments are, you can tell that he understands them. So when they say take a drink, he pretends like he's taking a sip from the cup. So he's developing the ability to understand the vocabulary that's being said to him by his caregivers. He's also learning new vocabulary. So you may have noticed that mom didn't say the food was good. She says that the food is delicious. So we encourage you while your child is playing, try to incorporate all these new vocabulary words because they really will be absorbing it by listening to you talk. And it's just another small, seemingly unremarkable moment, but it's having a tremendous impact on this child's literacy. And that's what we're really trying to bring home with you, is that it's the small moments that make all the difference.
Absolutely. And now that we've talked about the 5 early literacy practices, we would like to share some library resources that will support you in reading, writing, singing, talking, and playing with your child. So the first one that we want to talk about is probably the most important, which is your library card. It is never too early or too late to get a library card for your child. They only have to be 1 day old. And getting a library card is important because it's another way to show them that there are books that they can have easy access to, and that books themselves and reading are super important. You can sign them up for their very own library card today, right now. You can even do it online if you pop over to ocls.info. Did you also know that you can get books in the mail? Yeah, you can get books and movies and more delivered right to your doorstep. We have a mail-free home delivery service. It is amazing. You just have things mailed to you and you return them to any of our 15 locations. So it is a great option for those busy caregivers out there. And children always get really excited about our beautiful blue bags showing up on their doorstep. Another thing that we want to make you aware of is all of our virtual events, story times, and pre-recorded story times. And we want to draw particular attention to these because they all incorporate those 5 early literacy practices of reading, writing, singing, talking, and playing. We have programs for babies, toddlers, and preschoolers. For babies, we have things like Mother Goose on the Loose and Mama Gonza. Mother Goose on the Loose is amazing because it's this research-based program that is specifically designed to strengthen those early literacy skills that we've talked about, and it's applicable for babies all the way up to age 3. And it incorporates things like rhymes, songs, puppets, musical instruments, books, and so much more. And it really provides this well-rounded literacy experience for you and your child to enjoy together. And Mama Gonza is awesome because it is the Spanish language version of Mother Goose on the Loose. And so you have all of those wonderful elements that you see in Mother Goose on the Loose, but this is a great way to also introduce a new language or maybe strengthen the Spanish speaking that you're doing at home. So it's a wonderful option. For our toddlers, we have programs like Artsy Toddler, where you can paint, paste, glue, stamp, and create. And young children will enjoy stories in that one and songs and all of these age-appropriate art experiences. And then we also have Countdown to Kindergarten. This one's for a little bit of the bigger kids, for the preschoolers. And so it is a brand new 6-week-long kindergarten readiness series that is designed to help 4- and 5-year-old children strengthen those early literacy skills needed to succeed in kindergarten. It was created using the early literacy practices of Every Child Ready to Read. So again, reading, writing, singing, talking, playing, and then we threw in counting as like an extra bonus. If you're not able to attend any of our live events, you should definitely check out our pre-recorded story times on our YouTube channel. So you can visit youtube.com/OCLS videos. We have story times, bilingual story times, nursery rhymes, sing-alongs. We have so much to enjoy there. And since it's on demand, it can fit around your busy schedules. Another thing we want to let you know about is that the Public Library Association created monthly calendars that include simple, quick literacy activities that you can do with your child that also support early literacy. And you can find these at any of our 15 locations. On the back side, there's things like song lyrics, book suggestions, and you can even print these calendars online at ocls.info if you can't pop into the branch. But they're a wonderful thing to just pop on your fridge, give you a little bit of inspiration, and really enjoy just keeping the learning going. Another thing to consider too is that many of our locations do offer take-home crafts. So if you're in there checking out some books, you can grab a take-home craft. It can vary from branch locations, but make sure you give them a call before you make a trip down there if you're really dead set on them. But that's another way to bring the learning home. And then Laura, I think you've got some great things to talk about too for resources.
Yes, I'm very excited to tell you about our Kindergarten Readiness Resource Guide. So Silence talked about some really great resources like those PLA early literacy calendars, coming to our virtual events, getting your library card. So we wanted to create a way that was sort of a one-stop shop for all of you to get all of these wonderful resources in one place. And that is the Kindergarten Readiness Resource Guide. It was specifically designed to support these 5 early literacy skills: reading, writing, singing, talking, playing. And you're going to find all the important links on the introduction page. You're going to be able to get your library card. You're going to be able to register for those events. You can see those pre-recorded story times, get those early literacy calendars, so much more. Each practice has its own tab. And you're going to find book suggestions. So maybe you're trying to work on rhyming with your child. You can get a rhyming book list from this resource guide. Maybe you're looking for some wordless picture books so that you can get talking with your child. You can find a great book list on this resource guide. You can pretty much find anything that you're needing here, and you can get to this at ocls.info/kindergarten. So we do recommend that you check that out and see what resources are going to work well for you. We also have some really wonderful databases. So all of these databases you're going to be able to find on that Kindergarten Readiness Resource Guide, but we wanted to talk about a few of them just so you understand what they are and how they can benefit the early literacy of your child. So we have Miss Humblebee's Academy. This is an interactive online curriculum for preschool age children, but what I especially like about Miss Humblebee's is that they also have an offline curriculum. So this is going to get your child away from the screen and out into nature. It's things like scavenger hunts, really fun science experiments, playing with chalk. It's going to get them away from that screen for a little while. We also have Hoopla, so you can check out movies, music, audiobooks, television shows, enjoy them through your smartphone or your tablet. I like to recommend using Hoopla if you're singing with your child and you're looking for some new songs to sing. You can definitely find some great songs through Hoopla. Tumble Book Library, this is an online collection of ebooks. They have animation, they have sound, they have music, they can narrate the story to your child. These are really wonderful. They have a wonderful selection of picture books here. Canopy Kids is kind of similar, so you can bring your child's favorite books to life with narration and animation. Some of my favorites that are on there are Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus by Mo Willems and I Want My Hat Back by John Klassen. And Little Pim is a foreign language learning tool for children ages 6 months to 6 years old. It uses engaging videos and flashcards, and it's a great way to expose your child to a new language and new vocabulary from a very young age. And then last but not least here, we encourage you to sign your child up for a Beanstack account at ocls.beanstack.org. And there's one specific challenge on there that we like to talk about. It's called 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. And just like the challenge says, you are encouraged to read 1,000 books with your child before they enter their kindergarten classroom. So you can log the books, you can write reviews, you get really great badges and certificates when you've completed those challenges. And we get this question a lot. You can absolutely repeat books. So it does not have to be 1,000 unique books there. Another fun aspect of Beanstack is that you can get book recommendations. They'll recommend some of our great programs to you. And we always have lots of different reading challenges happening at different times throughout the year. So we have a challenge for our summer reading program. Right now we have a great reading challenge going on for Hispanic Heritage Month. So definitely check out Beanstack and see all the great things that it has to offer for you and your child. All right, so we have talked a lot. So we'd like to take this opportunity to let you ask us any questions you have. This could be about anything we talked about today, about Every Child Ready to Read or early literacy. We're here to help you. We want to connect you with all of the wonderful resources that we have to offer for you and your child. And while you do that, I will bring back up our contact information, because if you think about, if you're watching this later, or if you think about your question later on, you can absolutely contact us. Again, my name is Laura Morton. I'm the Youth Education Specialist at the Orlando Public Library. You can reach me at morton.laura@ocls.info. And of course, my fabulous co-host.
So I am Silence Bourne, the Youth Services Librarian at the Orlando Public Library, and you can reach me at bourne.silence@ocls.info. And we're definitely happy to answer any questions and help you in any way that we can.
All right.
Let's see if we have any questions.
All right, well, we would like to thank you so much for joining us for our workshop today. We hope that you've gained some ideas, some inspiration for activities that you can do with your child at home or at the library here with us to strengthen their early literacy skills. Now, if you registered for the event today, we're going to be sending out a resource guide that recaps those 5 early literacy practices and a document that tells you about all those wonderful library resources that we talked about today. But again, you can always email us directly, and we are very happy to share all of those great things with you.
Absolutely. We did get one question. It was, can you repeat those 5 early literacy skills one more time? Absolutely, we can. It's up on the screen for you too. It is reading, writing, singing, talking, and playing. They are so simple, but they are so wonderful. Also, one more thing, make sure that you guys join us on Saturday, October 6th at 11 a.m. We have a sing-along with Yeehaw Bob. If you have not experienced him, it is a great time. It is also a great opportunity for your child to strengthen those early literacy skills with singing and movement. And you can find more information for all of our upcoming events at ocls.info/events. Make sure that you're tracking all of your readings and activities in Beanstack if you guys have already signed up for that. If not, you can create an account today at ocls.beanstack.org.
All right, and finally, we are going to be sending out a follow-up email with a survey, and we would be very, very grateful if you would take a few minutes and complete that survey and let us know how we're doing. It only takes about 2 to 3 minutes to complete, but it really does a world of difference for the types of programs that we can offer you. And we do read every single survey that you send to us, and we are so grateful for all of the wonderful feedback that you always provide for us. So you can complete our survey online in English or Spanish at your convenience, and we should have those links coming up for you right there. All right. And we just want to thank you again so much for joining us today. We are so excited that we got to talk to you about Every Child Ready to Read, and we will see you again next time. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to be the first to find out when we have new fun and informative videos for you. Orange County Library System is your place to learn, grow, connect.